So for our song tonight, y'all, I was just kind of wanting to do something fun and silly and maybe a little something for my beloved here. So I teach a wide range of grown-ups and littles when it comes to singing, and one of my middle schoolers brought me this song a few years ago. Oh, jeez, has it been that long? But I fell in love with it. And those of you who know the Steven Universe show, whatever that is, might know this from the credits. If I could begin to be half of what you'd think of me, I could do about anything. I could even learn how to love. When I see the way you act, wondering when I'm coming back, I could do about anything. I could even learn how to love like you. Love like you. I always thought I might be bad. Now I'm sure that it's true, 'cause I think you're so good. And I'm nothing like you. Look at you go. I just adore you. I wish that I knew what makes you think I'm so special. If I could begin to do something that does right by you, I would do about anything. I would even learn how to love. When I see the way you look, shaking by how long it took, I could do about anything. I could even learn how to love like you. Welcome in, everybody, to our Barbershop, a little family time around the fire. This is our In Conversation series, where we leave our barbershop safety of YouTube and come here where we are dead live with y'all to spend a little time and welcome in some of the most amazing artisans and community members that we have run across in our last year
or so,
of our show. So, ladies and gentlemen, if they would like to request entry to the Barbershop...
Yes.
Sorry.
Hey, welcome, you guys.
Nice to officially meet you.
Okay, can you hear us all right now?
Yeah, can you hear us?
All right, good.
Yay.
Go get my chart.
All right. So a big part of why we started our show was Rod, Mandy, we knew absolutely nothing about the wet shaving world, and we kind of wanted to bring our audience along with us to kind of bring the newbies in on this journey. And we followed our favorites. We looked for where value meets quality. We listened to our community. A year later, we've done more Stirling episodes than anything else, with over 55 already published. And we wanted to start by thanking you for being so inspirational to our show. And it is so nice to finally meet you.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to meet y'all finally as well.
Thank you. So how does William Wallace factor into the beginning of Stirling Soap Company?
We did some research.
So we took a belated honeymoon trip in 2011 to Scotland, and we, stayed, and we stayed very central, and we ventured out to a new castle every day. And our absolute most favorite was Stirling. Just outside of the town of Stirling is the William Wallace Monument. And so we climbed all the way to the top. It's a big, really super narrow spiral staircase. It was amazing. And you could look out over, all the fields and everything. And we knew this trip was different and that we wanted to do something, with it that was natural. Like the way of life that they had there is, much slower and just natural and everything. And so when we got home, we started really brainstorming what that looked like, and bath soap was where it started.
How cool. Okay, so can you tell us what you both of your separate roles, or maybe that you share at Stirling Soap Company under the umbrella? So I know there's a soap side, there's a roastery side, there's lots.
So the roastery is all her. It's 100% in her name. I mean, if she's got questions, or she'll bounce ideas off of me, but she 100% does that. So on the soap company side, I mean, we have 50-50 ownership of the company, but I would honestly, and she would probably agree, I do more of the what's the word for it? If at the end of the day, my word is what usually gets.
He's the big boss. I'm the little boss. It came to a point, a few years in, when we had employees and things like that, that it was like, there has to be one,
Right.
final say, and everything. And so that's definitely Rod. He's more the face of the company, obviously being a man and everything. He developed our bread and butter product, the shave soaps, the aftershaves, things like that. I handle the website and taxes and payroll and labels and things like that. He handles customer service and
General direction of the company.
And raw material purchasing, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
When we're trying to figure out what's going to be the new product, I'm usually the one that's doing the research on trying to find what's, what people are into and trying. So, like with the deodorants, that's something that I'll be the one that's pushing what's the next new product we're going to release and things like that.
Right. Now, you guys did something so smart at the beginning of your journey. You have spoken about how important it is to become an expert about what you do before you start. But that doesn't mean that if you're a great soap maker, that you're an expert at marketing. So you guys did something we think is brilliant. You consulted a marketing expert. Can you tell us what that was like and how that helped establish your brand?
Well, I mean, honestly, as far as marketing, really what she did was what was it, 2016, 17? Really, as far as the marketing part,
the branding.
She basically rebranded us.
Right. Right.
We're still, as marketing wise, we're still pretty poor on that.
We're word of mouth.
Well, that's what I meant, was like the branding and the change to the green and the tree change and those things.
Yeah, our original logo was
elementary.
It was really elementary. It was a what's it called? MS Paint. I had taken a photo she took in Stirling Castle of a tree in Queen Anne's garden. That's where the tree comes from.
Oh, cool.
And in the background, you have the mountain. So I put that in paint, in MS Paint, and did a negative of it and just turned it green. And it was horrible. And the mountains on our original logo were stolen off a Coors Light can. And it's just, it's kind of embarrassing.
It worked, though. I mean, our bath soap labels didn't say bath soap for a long time. And so we would get people that would get like a sample of it, which we started doing after a number of years. And they'd say, this shave soap really sucks. And we're like, well, that's not shave soap. That's
my
goodness. So, Yeah. So the branding consultant that we used was very professional and everything. And she really gave us kind of a blueprint baseline, and I've taken it from there and developed it over the years for the new product lines. We're integrating barcodes now and all of that to really make it professional.
Yeah.
Cool. Can you tell us a little bit about your military services and what it's like to be an interrogator? Or if that plays into the soap world now somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe for employees.
That's funny.
Right.
That's actually how she and I met. She was, I was active duty. She was National Guard, but she was actually on active duty doing, she was reclassifying into a new job. She'd been a cable monkey before that.
Telecommunications.
She was telecommunications prior to that. And so she came through the human intelligence course. So it means two parts. There's interrogation, and then there's source operations. And what my job there at the time was, I ran the field exercise. So they would come out to my site for the last 10 days they were in Arizona, and I would put them through hell for 10 days. They'd stay out in a tent. And we met because she had made a mistake, And at the time when students made a mistake, there was it's not really a mountain. It was more of a hill, but it was about a 700-foot climb in elevation over a half mile, and we called it Bonehead Hill. And if you did something boneheaded, obviously I was younger and a lot more fit than I am now, but I would take you and take you up Bonehead Hill as your punishment. And that's actually where she and I met, was on Bonehead Hill.
He signed the book, and he had had this whole intro paragraph with his first name, and the Army, I don't know if they still do, at the time had a email, deal where you could look people up. And so I looked him up after I got home, and yeah.
The rest is history.
Well, I think on behalf of everybody here, I can safely say two things. Thank you for your service, and you have got to make a soap based on that place.
Yeah, you should name it that.
Yeah. I've thought,
that would be good.
We've thought for a few years on trying that. We had one that we were working on called Huachuca Canyon, and it was trying to capture the smell of the southern Arizona desert, but that's really hard to do. Yeah. It's just, right. And it's a place that's so special to me. I don't want to do it a disservice, right. and put something out there.
Right. Yeah. Now, in 2018, you prophetically said, "I've known for a long time wet shaving is going to continue to grow, and I don't think it hit its peak." Boy, were you right about that. Now, in this brave new world of 2024, how is it continuing to grow, and what causes that growth?
Honestly, I think the major drivers in the growth are word of mouth, but also, okay, two other things on that. Word of mouth, but also men realizing that they don't have to rush in the mornings. They're allowed to have something that's considered, for lack of a better word, pampering themselves, something that they enjoy in the morning. But also, a lot of people find it to be a better way to shave. A lot of people are turned on by the fact that you can get a 100-pack of Astras for $10, mm-hmm. and you can't get 2 Gillette Mach 5s for that much. So,
right. Okay.
And then, how do you decide which soaps get the fun cartoon labels, or is that just kind of experimenting?
The special ones. So one of Rod's Army buddies, his dad is a cartoonist, and so he does them. And we've, the boat drinks, we decided that before, we even, as he was crafting the scent, he's talking to the guy. He's like, I want it to look like this. And so we go through iterations of it, and it gets colored and all of that. Let's see. A lot of the other ones, I just gave him. I was like, here's the name of it. Here's what we're going for. Give me your best. Because he's a nationally syndicated cartoonist. He's a Vietnam vet, and right now his main cartoon that he's known for is called In Country, and it's just based on experiences in Vietnam, but also veteran experiences for as they come home. And he's supremely talented. And honestly, I wish we could afford to do more of the labels. But like she said, it's certain ones. It's something that we know sells really well and is probably going to stick around in our lineup for a really long time. Because I don't want to spend the money, have a really cool label, and then Yeah, the labels were actually, originally they were secondary. We wanted t-shirts, like margaritas in the Arctic. It's like the polar bear and everything. Right. But the t-shirt design that he did for it has like the big igloo in the back. And I can't remember, it's so long. It's got
penguins going into the cantina.
Yeah, Ozark Mountain. It's like this huge landscape. And we'd love to, t-shirts, those t-shirts just didn't really sell well enough for us to do future prints of them. But yeah, they were, that was the original one. The only other one that has the really cool design is Electric Sheep and Glacial Electric Sheep. And those were a guy that we found on Upwork that we hired. He's an artist, and he does like kind of Mortal Kombat style, animation, and he did an amazing job on those. We love those. Right. So yeah.
Now, we love our dupes and homages, of course, but we are fascinated when soap makers make their own scents. Now, you have mentioned that Stirling Gentleman is one of your favorites, and that sometimes it takes years to create them. Can you kind of walk us through the creation of one of your original scents and why it takes years?
Sometimes it just really depends on what I'm going for. We'd had people hounding us to do a tobacco scent for a long time, and I wanted to do it right, and I wanted it to be something different, rather than just, your standard cherry pipe tobacco or whatever type scent. So we worked on that one for it was close to 2 years, and I just never felt it was right, and it turned out I was trying to do too much. So we simplified it down to 4 notes, and I thought it was perfect after that. But a lot of the other ones, the fresher, me and my production manager, who she started as our babysitter, but she came on as my apprentice years ago. She and I sat down over an afternoon and banged that one out. It's like I walked in, I was like, "These are the notes that I'm wanting to hit. So let's experiment." And so sometimes you experiment and you hit it right away, and sometimes it takes 2 years.
Right. Wow. Sarah has a great question. With the understanding that we believe you guys have the most generous pour in the business,
Sure.
we do have a question.
Just something we've always wondered. Why is it a 5.8 ounce tub instead of a 6 ounce tub? You're that close. Just curious.
We have a suspicion that you're kind of giving us 6 ounces, but you don't want everybody bitching about it.
That's exactly right. When we first started doing the labels, when we first started pouring them, they were 6 ounces, but we found that, if you hold on to that soap for a year and leave it off, it will continue. They're not a milled soap. They will continue to cure. And there's actually people that will weigh the soap, and then they'll weigh an empty jar, and they'll reach out to us and say, "Hey, you shorted me a 1/10 of an ounce."
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Yeah.
And for some guys, that's 50 cents.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but it is.
So we pour to 6.3 ounces, cure it down to 6, mark it as 5.8, and if you hold on for it for 10 years and then you weigh it and it says 5.7,
I'll send you a gallon of water.
At this point, here.
You deserve what they send you. That's what happens. Is there a scent in your lineup that you're not sure why we all like as much as we do?
Why you do or you don't?
Why we do?
Why? Yeah. Why?
Because I remember reaching out to I haven't reached out to Rod very much through our whole journey, but I had to say something about Ben Franklin because I loved it, and he was a little surprised. Are there any soaps that are surprised how much we love them?
There's Nag Champa. There's as many people that hate Ben Franklin as there are that love it, but I'm one of the ones that love it, so that's why it continues to get made. But it's one of my own creations. So I'm proud of it, so I want to keep it going. But Nag Champa, I don't mind Nag Champa, but to me it smells...
It was like a grape incense to me. Like, sorry if I ruin it for somebody, but it's not fun.
Yeah.
He keeps bringing it back because every time we take it away, we get so many people that request it, so we make it again, and then it sits on the shelf, and so it's like, for real this time, it's not coming back. It's done for at least a few years, and that's always the caveat.
Right.
That's funny.
Right.
It can always come back. It's
Yeah,
okay.
right. You can always bring it back.
If you beg him enough, he'll bring anything back.
Oh, good. Okay, noted. Every so often when we list your ingredients on our show, because we put a little printout on the video, we've noticed that there's some subtle differences in the base. Do you still tinker with it time to time, or is that intentional?
No, so the base, we have our unscented with beeswax base, and that's our sensitive skin, and all it does is it removes the almond oil for people that have the almond oil allergy, replaces it with coconut oil because it's not a real nut. Coconut's not a real nut. And then it removes lanolin and replaces it with white beeswax for people that have a lanolin sensitivity. Our main formula is the Naked and Smooth, and that's our beef tallow formula. We have a sheep tallow formula that is the exact same formula, just replaces the beef with sheep tallow. And then we have our glacial formula, and it takes the almond oil out. It has a slightly higher stearic percentage, and it replaces the almond oil with coconut oil because coconut gives a more foamy lather than almond oil does. It lacks the moisturizing properties of almond oil, but it foams up better. And when you have that much menthol in your soap, you need every bit of help you can in getting it to foam up.
Right. Now, one of the things we love most about Stirling is that most of what you do is based on feedback. So what is the best way for our viewers to reach out and give you that feedback? Which way do you prefer?
Always through email. Email me at rod@stirlingsoap.com or just go in our contact form and send us. And that's where a lot of our scents come in. And, I probably get at least 15 to 20 scent requests a week. And so I'll keep a running list. And when I start to see the same one over and over again, it's like, okay, this one needs to come into production. And then sometimes you'll get stuff that it's like, we'll go to Dillard's or something and we'll smell things, or I'll order samples from our fragrance suppliers. And there's times it's like, now these are amazing, or this isn't going to sell. And so, you hate to disappoint people, but that's the truth of it. Sometimes the niche fragrance that, someone wants, I can't make it when I know it's just going to sit. And at this point, we're almost 14 years into this. I've got a pretty good idea of what's going to sell and what isn't. So,
I've wondered this from the moment we shot this episode. Why is there a singer's microphone on the freshener?
It's a comedian's microphone.
Gotcha. Okay. Who's the comedian?
Is there
the fresher comes from a Mitch Hedberg joke. It's
Mitch Hedberg. Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Is it too dirty to share here? There are kids watching. No. Although Izzy swears way worse than we do.
No. So he says naming kitchen appliances is easy. I want to get a job doing that. I'm going to work at the Kitchen Appliance Naming Institute. You just take what something does and you add refrigerator, toaster, blender. He says, well, what's this thing do? Well, it keeps stuff fresh. Well, we're going to call that a fresher. I'm going on break.
Got it.
So the pen
mystery solved. That
fresh
has been holding my ears apart. Oh, good. Okay, I love it.
Well, that's a good leeway into our next question, because we did hear in a few other interviews that you mentioned that if we can decode some of the names of your soaps, that it's a good way to get to know you. So is there one that you can also, besides this one, like maybe the Sandpiper or something else that you can help explain the story
or
behind?
the SB one?
Oh, yeah, the SpongeBob something?
SB129.
Chrome. It's a Zorro Chrome, and it's the SpongeBob Chrome episode. SB129.
There you go. And what's Sandpiper?
Sandpiper is the name of the airline in the 90s TV show Wings.
The Cheers spinoff?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
We love
Huh. All right.
Love that show.
Learning things. Have fun.
Hey,
a lot
that
of
is awesome.
TV shows that we used to watch / listen to while we worked, while we, he would ship packages or whatever. And so it just, favorite characters like Haverford is
Parks and
Rec, Tom Haverford, and he loved colognes and things like that.
And he referred to himself as dark and spicy, which the Haverford scent is.
Right, and then it's a Tom Ford scent, so it really went both ways.
Whoa, there was thought put into that.
Yes, right?
It was
wow, that's very cool. I love it. Well, let's see. Oh, where are we at here? Oh, yeah. Okay. You have mentioned before that someday, some mythical day that we are all waiting for, there will come a day where there's a magic mass marketing campaign and everybody figures out that what we are doing is way better than what's happening with the cartridges. Will that far off day ever come, or is this going to remain a group of folks with a secret? And will the cartridge ever be dethroned?
I don't think the cartridge is ever going to be dethroned. I still think we have room to grow. I don't know that we'll ever even take 10% market share from the cartridge at this point. Because the truth of it, there's a learning curve.
True.
I mean,
yeah, that is true.
But there are companies that are trying to bridge the gap, between cartridge and safety razors and everything, like the Leaf,
you're right.
all of that, and
right.
Because
see, for me, there's a learning curve to learning how to eat with utensils, but it's worth it. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
So I think, like you said, I don't want to lose sight of that. I think somewhere there is going to be somebody's going to have that brilliant idea that just kind of strikes it home. And for me, I was afraid of a little bit of blood. And you know what? I would bleed way worse with my cartridge than I do with my double-edged shavers. So I think there is just, like you said, I don't want to lose sight of that. I think there's going to be some day where just something magic happens where the emperor has no clothes and everybody just kind of figures it out. But we love that you guys have kind of stayed loyal to yourselves and haven't cut your margins in order to go on Amazon or in order to go, to more mass marketing Walmart kind of places, because it allows you to maintain the quality and the value that you do. So we just wanted to take a second to recognize that and to tell you that your $12 24 millimeter brush is still one of my 2 top favorites in my entire cabinet.
That's true.
Like,
Probably gets used the most.
Right. It's not always about price, but it is about quality. Where are we? Oh, yeah.
So, because we can ask you this, can you tell us a little difference between the mutton tallow or the beef tallow, and maybe just like a 2-minute blurb on how you can actually create that since you have sheep?
Yeah, how you make your soap, just like the 2-minute version. Like, do you get it from your farm, the tallow?
We have sheep. We pared them down. At one point, we had about 80 sheep, and they were a backup. But we sell enough soap now that even with 80 sheep, if we went and killed them all tomorrow, it wouldn't even make it last us a month's worth of the tallow. So we're having to get it from some other farms. We've been getting it from a place in Missouri, and I've actually got a new one that I'm getting ready to start working with, because we've been out of sheep tallow for about a month now. So all of our sheep soaps they're going out of stock, and I think I found a new supplier.
All of his sheep are nervous.
Yeah, his sheep are nervous.
Well, there's actually a growing population in the U.S. that appreciates eating sheep. Maybe not fully in lieu of beef, but as I never had it growing up. I never had tried it until I guess my first tour in Iraq, and then by the end of my third tour, I loved it. I can eat a lamb burger just as easy as a beef hamburger now.
Right.
So, it's one goes back to one of our founding principles. People aren't going to stop eating meat, so we might as well use every last bit of the animal that we can. So we use the tallow to make, because I still think tallow makes an absolutely unbeatable soap.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Let's see. Oh, how many soaps do you make in a batch? Is it still 24?
So it depends on what we're doing. So if we need to make samples and pucks, it's 24 jars, 10 pucks, and about 30 samples, somewhere give or take. If we're not making refills and sample pucks, it's the same batch size, but it turns out to be about 36 jars.
Right. Wow, small batch, folks. They mean it.
Yeah, I had it figured out. Eventually, we will, and honestly, that's the next big thing that we're going to have to take, because if we did ever explode, we've been on kind of a 4 or 5 year plateau now. But if we ever did break out of that and see growth like we did from, say 2017, 18, that period, I would have to be able to make bigger batches. We would not be able to keep up.
Gotcha.
So eventually, we're going to have to find a way to at least double the size of our batches.
Right. So, as one of the few artisans with a selection, even like a tab on your page for the women's line, can you walk us through some of the scents for the ladies, or how you pick it, or even why the guys love to use those scents so much?
Yeah. Why do the guys love them so much? It's so crazy. I think there are more shaving videos of guys using Duchess than Duke.
I can't explain it. I could never explain it. I thought maybe they just didn't understand it. I think we're very clear. But, I like some of the masculine scents as well. I'll shave with a Ben Franklin and think, of course, that's a Ruby Float. But anyway, I can't explain that part of it, but Witchy Woman's been around. We were just talking here in the last couple of weeks about cycling through some new women's scents, because we've come across some really amazing dupes and things like that I think would be just amazing. And it's nice to get a refresh. We can't afford to have as many women's scents in our lineup, just because the majority of our customers are men, but
the reality.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the women's section on there, you get customers that think that we are 100% a male-oriented company, and
we want to include women, you know, women leg shavers.
Half of our scents, I mean, even Executive Man, Aventus is marketed as a unisex scent. I mean, Mountain Man is based on Silver Mountain water. It's very much, that one also, I think, leans more feminine. But that being said, you know, we had already established by the time we named that Mountain Man, that any scent that we did that was creed based was going to be a quote unquote MAN at the end. Right. So that's I don't know. That doesn't mean that we don't have women that don't love Executive Man or things like that. It just,
well, it's funny, of all of the community members that we know and have talked to, those with both wives and daughters generally get their Stirling stolen often.
Right. The ladies.
For some reason, that's the one that's hijacked. Of all the artisans in their den, their green disappears.
It's true.
So we've just kind of noticed that. Mandy, can you tell us about the roastery side of Stirling? Get some of these guys excited about coffee, because we live within walking distance of the original Pete's. So we have grown up surrounded by everything that coffee could be, and one of the places we go roast it like you guys do. Tell these guys about Stirling Roastery, because we adore your coffee.
Thank you. So Stirling Roastery came about as like an idea, or we wanted to not have all of our eggs in a soap company basket in case, you know, anything ever happened to it. Coffee seemed like a really natural pivot, because if you're buying, you know, and spending time on wet shaving and everything, then you like finer things most likely. And so specialty grade coffee could be one of them. And so we did a lot of research on it for years. We were going to work with another, like a company that would actually roast it and just do like private labeling. And we knew we couldn't buy enough to make, you know, a partnership like that work. And so it was like, okay, well, maybe we do the roasting. And so we researched it. We got online and found a course in Minneapolis that actually did hands-on roasting, and they taught you all about it and everything. And so we went to Minneapolis back in September 2019 and got our hands on a roaster. And we were like, well, we've already got our hands on this roaster. We might as well buy from this company, which is part of their, you know, strategy. Right. And so we got it. We started the roastery in the absolute worst time to start a company, in the, you know, middle of 2020. The ball was already rolling, you know, and so we were like, let's just do it. Coffee's super saturated, but, you know, let's do it. We'll leverage, you know, kind of our soap company customers with this, and if even a small fraction of them think this is a great idea and get the soap with the coffee at the same time, then, you know, we'll be okay. And so it's kind of taken off. We've got we do just like we do with the soap, where we've got probably an over selection of coffee, you know, single origins and our blends, and they're roasted. I actually have a roaster now who does all of the roasting for me, so I don't have to do that anymore. And she runs our storefront. She ships out orders and everything. If you buy soap and coffee, either the soap or the coffee will be vacuum sealed, so there's no cross-contamination with the scents. Right. And yeah, we're getting ready to launch K-Cups. I'm just waiting on boxes to get here. Oh, cool. We've been testing the machine and everything, so that's, you know, we grind to order. And K-Cups, everybody's like, do you have K-Cups? Do you have K-Cups? We don't have K-Cups. So we're like, we got it. This, you know, this is untapped right here. Like, yes, they could do the reusable, you know, cup and everything and do it themselves, but they're not going to. So we have K-Cups coming in. I'm hoping to branch into teas one day, and maybe like some coffee themed chocolates or something like that really kind of set us apart, that would sell really well in our small little rural town, and you know, give us something else other than just coffee.
Right. Cool. So Rod, as for some reason, past the understanding, as one of the only artisans we know who doesn't have a beard, can you tell us about your shaving ritual? Do you tub lather?
So I load directly from the tub. I typically face lather, and anymore, the last year we've been so busy getting moved over here and getting our new place set up, and usually anymore I'm shaving in the shower without a mirror.
Right.
And so there's times I've had some rough shaves, and I normally I would shave with the Stirling hyper aggressive razor, but even for me, when I know I'm really good at it, it can be a little bit much in the shower without a mirror. So I go with the standard head on the Stirling stainless.
Nice.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I would try to think of 6 different ways to ask you an interesting question about the human nose, because I don't think the sense of smell is as exactly reliable as we always think it is. And I think it changes from day to day. So I figured out a good way to ask this question. Why does everybody I've talked to think there's chocolate in candy cane?
Color.
The vanilla.
So if we close our eyes.
There's a support group of people out there who are sure they're getting chocolate in that.
Oh, it's the same thing for I get emails about boat drinks is that you don't have chocolate listed in the notes. Well, there's no chocolate in it. There's a small amount of vanilla.
Right.
But it's the same thing with candy cane has actually a large amount of vanilla. That's what gives it some of that creamy sweetness.
Right.
Okay.
So
that's kind of what we thought, that there's a vanilla sense in
Like a
milk
tonka
chocolate,
bean
and that's kind of
something.
what we were. But I did say, if you look at the soap, it looks
Right.
dark like
It
chocolate.
does.
So it just kind of the same way that a soap label can help suggest a
Oh
place
yeah,
to you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
There was, I don't know if they do it anymore, but the wet shaving subreddit, I think it was Declaration Grooming, used to do a soap called Puzzle, and it would just be a handful of notes, and everyone would get their jar of soap, and the contest was smell it and tell us what you think the notes are, and even the best noses couldn't get it right.
Right.
I mean, and they'd be simple notes. I mean,
Right.
it just. So most people couldn't even get 40% of them right. So
Right.
scent, especially.
And y'all,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
blind to smell your soaps. Like have your better half go in your cabinet and grab 6 or 7, because the ones that you recognize, of course, but the ones you don't, you will come to a new appreciation of. And you'll smell it and you'll be like, what is that? That's a new thing. And it's just a way to kind of discover them in a new way. But yeah, you're right. It's funny, but without knowing what it is, sometimes they're really hard to recognize.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, even for me, and I've been doing this for a very, very long time. There's times where I'm. What scent were we smelling the other day?
The Creed Royal Mayfair.
Creed Royal Mayfair.
Right.
I bought a bottle of the real stuff because
Different.
we're trying to. It was a scent that we were looking at for this Black Friday, and it was. I'm listening to her. I was like, I think this is in it, and I was 100% off. I'm not even close.
I was like patchouli, like there's like a spiciness to it, but like an earthiness, and he was getting a lot of floral. And we had to look it up.
Yeah.
That's too funny. What has surprised you most about starting, now that it's 14 years in, what surprised you most about starting the Stirling Soap Company side of things?
About starting it?
Yeah.
Or just about running it. Is there what's the most surprising part of it? Was there anything that was kind of unexpected?
How well it's done. We always look back and we're like, when we first started with just the bath soap, we said if we could, when we did our grand, opening at Canton Trade Days in Texas, we said if we can sell this much soap, then I could quit my job as a government contractor and do this full time. That was like, but it was like, ha ha ha, that's not going to happen. And then about a year and a half later, I actually lost my job as a government contractor, and the soap company had just started taking off. And so it was like, okay, well, it'll be okay. We can sustain this. We'll get slim. And then just year after year, watching it grow and expand has been,
We thought we could probably make a living at this. We didn't ever really expect that we could help other people make a living.
Right.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Let me see. We are a little short on time, so I'm going to dial back these questions a little bit.
Combine a few things.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, your dew boils are amazing. Do you guys smell the originals? Is that kind of how you know which dew boil you like?
Yeah, we're still unpacking, or we might be able to show you the stash of colognes and perfumes that we have. It's
have you seen the movie Anchorman?
Yes.
So-
Oh yeah.
When Brian Fantana opens his closet of smells
Right.
and impressive. Mine is
Did you get some original Sex Panther?
but our closet of fragrance puts that to shame because we do want our stuff to be, you know, it's never going to be perfect because I'm not going to be able, and that's the hard part because you'll get some people that are fragrance heads and they're like, you know, this executive man doesn't smell anything like my Aventus. I've got batch numbers.
Right.
You know, and it's like, dude, you know, you pay $250 for that. That's the $12 bottle of aftershave. You know, come on.
What do you want?
So it's,
Right.
it's never going to be perfect, but you know, we get the originals as much as we can. Number one, so because it's a tax write-off. Number two, I want it to be. I want our stuff to be as close as, you know. It's not going to be perfect, but I want it to be close enough that if you do own the original, you can wear it with our stuff.
Right.
Gotcha.
Mandy, this is for you. Rod has published several emails over the last few months from some impassioned customers who have very deep feelings about their shaving soap. Why are all the degenerates in this hobby so passionate about our shaving soaps? Do you have any idea?
No. I don't get that I don't get that serious about shave soap. I mean, it's our
Anything.
obviously our living and everything. It's our company and everything. But we'll get, like, our managers will be answering emails over the weekend. And I'm like, it's soap, guys. Like, save it for
It just
Monday.
bubbles.
I don't need that. So
Right.
yeah, I have no idea. I didn't know.
That's funny.
Ask him this one.
So what are some of the funniest scent requests you've gotten, speaking of customers? Is there one that just really stands out that's a funny one?
Motor oil.
And we've had motor oil, the gun cleaning, CLP.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Honestly, some of them I don't like to laugh, but there's times where you'll get something that's so specific, like, you know, there's this little creek behind my grandpa's house in southern Wyoming, and you know, in the fall of 1982, we got a lot of rain, and the oak leaves kind of smelled like this. You think you can make a scent? And it's like, you know, what do
Kind
you?
of shot in the dark. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll buy 50, but yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
What are you guys' favorite what are you guys' favorite movies and music?
Is it more
Now
time?
you have little ones, so I imagine it might be a little Pixar heavy kind of thing.
So, Count of
I
Monte
have it.
Cristo.
There you go.
I love Count of Monte Cristo. We don't watch it enough.
I could watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy every Saturday with the shades pulled and just kick everybody
Extended
out.
versions or the originals?
What's that?
Do you like the extended version or the original?
I have both. I've got DVDs of both, or Blu-rays, excuse me.
Nice.
That's funny.
Let's see. We're distilling down some questions
Yes.
here. Well, you know, we kind of like to ask this one when we're lucky enough to have couples in front of us. What is your favorite thing about each other?
That's on the spot.
Do you enjoy working together? Like,
You must.
Clearly, you made it work.
We can
yeah.
tell just by smelling these that you enjoy working together.
Honestly, I don't know that I could not work with her anymore. I don't know that I'd want to go to a job and not have her there. I mean, there's times where our employees are like, "Are y'all all right?" And it's like, you know, because we're business partners as well, and there's times where she and I are not going to fully agree on the direction of something or how to handle something. I'm usually the pushover that the customer uses as a doormat, and she's usually the
Everybody thinks that he looks scary and everything, and so he's like but it's really the opposite. I personally love when he comes to me with an idea and we get to dream it out and everything. He's really good at coming up with an idea, and he's like, I was thinking, and I just love it when he says those words because I know it's going to be something really cool.
Nice. Are there any products coming down the pipeline pretty soon that you can tell us about?
Maybe next year?
So the deodorant beta test, was last or week before last.
Right.
And we'll have a second round of that. We're having trouble getting the cetyl palmitate, which is one of the emulsifiers that you use to make a deodorant harder. We've been working on the pomades. We have those ready. I'm not quite ready to bring them to market yet. We've had so many things going on with trying to get our house sold, get moved, because for over a year we were driving, which for a lot of people it's not that far, but we were driving 35 miles each way to get the kids to school and to get to work and then get back home. And so a lot of things just by necessity while we were getting moved over here got pushed on the back burner. But we've got a lot of things that I'm planning to do over the next 2 years, because I want us to be the company that actually makes that jump to where, I still don't know that we'll ever be in Walmart or Amazon. Number one, because I like having control of my things, and you're not if you're working with them. But I still think that we could easily grow 10 times the size of what we are today without us having to give up who we are and how we treat customers.
Right.
I've got messages on my phone beeping in from customers. Hey, I saw you guys on Barbershop Duet. I just wanted to let you know. So,
Nice.
Your customer service really comes through in so many ways. Even like one of the soaps that went out that didn't have a scent.
Oh yeah, I was going to talk about that at the end. I'm going to bring that back.
Yeah, it just showed up, and there's certain the customer
or
service.
boat drinks when you couldn't get the exact banana that you wanted. You told us all, and you reduced the price. And it's like, Rod. I even asked the person I called. I had something I had a question about, and they said I kind of like the new one better, but Rod really likes the old.
But overall, if anyone thinks of Stirling, the next thing that comes to mind, besides your price point that comes through, is customer service. So I love
Best
that
in the business.
you really do try and keep that, no matter the craziness going on. Like we would have no idea everything behind the scenes.
Stirling
Cool.
runs like a Swiss watch, you guys. And I have been a CFO of my dad's company. I understand what that takes. So we so appreciate that. And we've got a ton of questions
We do.
for you.
Well, let's see if we can get a little.
Douglas Embry would like to know, what's your favorite Seinfeld episode?
Or do you have it? That is kind of tough.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I would have to, off the top of my head, probably the Keith Hernandez video, the JFK spitting video.
Right, back into the left.
Yeah, back to the left.
Nice.
It's just memorable. But I mean, there's a lot of, I got into that because of my dad, and to this day I watch it because my dad still loves it. So he'll come over, and if we run out of things to say, I'll throw on an episode of Seinfeld, and I'll sit and laugh.
Nice.
Oh, I love it.
My dad was a honeymooners.
That's
our friend Josue in New Jersey, he'd like to know, what is your favorite Stirling soap? What's in your shower, Rod?
Yeah, what do you currently have?
Is it detonated in there?
No, I've got Outdoor Man. Nope, the Outdoor Man's out. We usually have at least 4 or 5 different bars of soap in there right now.
I've got peach in there right now.
She's got peach in there. For shave soap, I just finished my next to last tub of boat drinks, and I'm probably going to open up something fall related here with my next shave.
There you go.
Philip Sharp Shaver would like to know, have you ever tried making chocolate covered coffee beans, Mandy?
We have.
That was weird.
I tried that on a weekend, and I actually bought one of the I forget what it's called, but it spins, and you have the coffee beans in there, and then you just drizzle the chocolate over while it spins, and it coats it.
Amazing.
And it almost broke my KitchenAid, so that was a no-go. The next one up was a substantial investment, and so that got put on hold for right now. Yeah.
Nice.
It's not on the dream list for now, so there you go. And then Carlos says, Rod and Mandy are amazing. It was a pleasure to meet you in Michigan.
And I'm sure there's chocolate and candy cane. Well, okay, that's fine. Angelo says, Mandy, are there any new roast or coffee flavors coming in the future?
So we've had requests for Guatemala to come back, and so what I hope to do in the coming year is actually every quarter bring something back. So instead of it being Sumatra or Nicaragua, we bring Brazil back for a quarter, and then we bring Guatemala back and things like that. We might have a new blend coming up as well because of the instability in Yemen. It's been very difficult to acquire at a decent price point, the Yemen coffee, and so we might be doing something from a different origin and putting Mocha Java kind of on the back burner, sadly.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Very cool. Clean shaved dads, there's no question, but thank you both for your service. Very important. And hi, Ron and Mandy. This is from Shaved and Diffused. Hi, Ron and Mandy. Do you have any celiac-friendly roasts that are low acid for cold brew?
I think cold brew in general.
Questions we'll get tonight.
Yeah.
Cold brew in general really tones down the acid just because it's such a long brewing process, and so you take out a lot of the acid but any of the I would say like a Papua New Guinea or even like a Costa Rica or a Colombia would be great. You don't want to do anything too light, and probably the dark you might get a little bit. Definitely with the light, though. I would stick somewhere in the mediums.
Right.
Okay. From a pro.
We ask everybody this, so we apologize, but you live on a farm, so you've got a really good chance of answering this in the way we like. Do you have any ghosts?
Ghosts?
Have you ever seen a ghost?
Or a possible ghost.
No.
No?
Okay. In all the world travels. Interesting.
I saved one for y'all. When I was about 14, we moved down to a court with the Castro family, and they were very, very old. But it was that name that was the Castro district in San Francisco. His great grandfather started the Castro Valley Meat Market, big guy, right, in the meat packing business out here. And he had a stroke and was kind of failing in health, but we got to know him really well. And my sister was like one of his best friends. He'd come over in his wheelchair every day and hang out for a while. And one morning at 3 a.m, my eyes shot open when he was in the hospital. And I heard his voice. I mean, kind of in my head, but kind of dreaming. And it said, hey, keep an eye on Evelyn for me, okay? And I said, yeah. But I was like kind of sure I was dreaming. And then as soon as I started to go back to sleep, I heard click. And I looked out my window. And across the court, I could see that Evelyn's light had turned on, because she had just gotten a call from the hospital that Percy had passed away. So
wow.
I don't know if that was just a crazy coincidence, but I watched her car pull out of the driveway and pull away. And my dad said, when it came in, he said, was that Evelyn? And I said, yeah, I think Percy left. And he said, why? And I said, well, I don't know how to explain it, but I think I heard him. And so, yeah, that's those are the kind of weird little
Since October,
right? And I did. We kept a good eye on her for the whole rest of her life, and she lived across the court from us. But yeah, those are kind of my brand of ghost stories. Those kind of little things, those weird, probably a dream. I'm sure just a coincidence, but I can dream, can't I? Well, do you have any last questions before I?
Do you have questions for us? I know.
Yeah. Do you have any questions for us, you guys?
How did y'all decide to do this?
Yeah,
I mean, you've been in the corporate world before, working for your father. You've got your irons in multiple fires. So, how do you find the time to do all the shows that you do, all the lives that you do, all the unboxings, reviews?
Well, believe it or not, we are kind of the expedient side of show business. So we kind of think of our show as live. So when we roll the tape, we just shoot 30 minutes and we have fun and we talk about it, and we don't worry about cutting or anything like that. We just let the camera roll. And then I go into my other production computer and I take out the stutters and stammers, but pretty much the episode is exactly what you see. We don't plan anything. We don't plan any kind of scripts. We kind of treat it like we're Johnny Carson and the soaps are our guests. So we do just enough research to be dangerous. If it's an homage to Haverford, we'll know what Haverford means and things like that. Yeah. But in general, we just kind of open it, let it wash over us, talk about memories, and then I go in and take out the little stutters and stammers and drop it in the template. So believe it or not, beginning to end, to produce an episode takes just a little bit over an hour.
Oh, wow.
So I had kind of made a conscious decision when we started the show. I didn't want to play video games anymore. I kind of grew up in the golden era, as you know, but it turned into something way too corporate. and video games are not something you're supposed to keep paying for. And I hate the model. I hate what it's doing to having fun. And I thought, you know, I want to spend time in front of a computer, but I want to make something. I want to create something. I want to have fun in a different way, and I want to do something with you because I love you. And what can we do that's interesting? I mean, yeah, I know fountain pens and they review the ink and stuff, but when you review ink for fountain pens, you can just go, look, ain't it pretty? Like, you can show them ink, you know what I mean?
But something about scent.
But
and,
yeah,
you know,
can't,
describing it
like,
really
like the fresher, being a pitcher of lemonade before you add the sugar. Like, before you add the water and sugar, just like the mortar and pestle to the lemons, and just like being able to find little interesting ways to describe these and basically try to describe the undescribable just kind of seemed really fun. So I took all my video game time, and that became our Barbershop Duet time. But we didn't expect almost everybody we met to be so amazing. Like, there's probably 6 amazing, and we always say, like, this is the hobby where the cool dads found each other. Like, there was just some commonality to this hobby that I can't explain, but they've all figured out something cool about life, and this shaving stuff is just a side effect. So there's probably 5 or 6 guys I check in with every day, and they're the most amazing dads in the world. And for those of us who didn't maybe have one of those for ourselves, this is a fantastic world, and all of the friends we've met and all the adventures that we've had. And do you know how many conversations we've had about politics? Zero. No,
That's it's
right. It's
you
just
can
that.
always
And
write those
reaching
people
out
off
to-
because it's that, you know, we've traveled a lot for wet shaving, and we've gone to a lot of meetups and met a lot. I mean, just people from every walks of life, every, you know, religion, race, creed that you can think of, and they all get along. And I when our political system collapses, which may be sooner than later, wet shavers will be the last people standing. Because
there we go.
yes, we will.
because we can get past it. I mean, I've got customers that I've known for years that I don't know their political views. I've got some that I do know their political views. I don't care.
Right.
We enjoy each other's company,
Right.
and that's all that matters.
There's
We're respectful to each other.
I've texted every day for 6 months. I have no clue how they're voting.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's how it should be. That's how our grandparents were.
Yeah.
That's how it should be. Well, you know, just to kind of put a little bow on this, you guys, I if you are watching this and you are a bit unfamiliar with the wet shaving world, and especially, you know what, especially if you are very familiar with the wet shaving world, we bought all of the Black Friday soaps that came out over the summer, and we all of a sudden got one out of the blue. It's only happened once. We got a package from Stirling we weren't expecting. What is this? And we opened it, and it was a second one that we had bought. And we were like, wait, what's this about? And it turns out that the original that Stirling made and sent out lost its scent. Well, without even saying a word, Stirling Soap Company made a new batch, they fixed it, and they sent it out to everybody for free, and they didn't even say anything about it. They just did that, you guys. They just did that. They just fixed it on their own. I don't know any other company in the world who would have done something like that and done it just out of reflex, out of instinct.
Make it right.
That is why, and even with boat drinks, like when you guys did that, that is why we love Stirling Soap Company. Is you guys think about 2 things: your products and us, and how best those can go together. And it shows. Because when we talk to a Stirling Soap collector, they make us still look like a newbie with our collection of 60 of them. I think Craig in Scotland had to add on to his house.
I think he did.
So, y'all, there is a reason, and it's part of the thought and the care that you put into these, not just in their creation, but what sense you give us, how you give them to us, and knowing that pampering is important in a world where it is falling away everywhere. Cool dads don't have any really good ways to take care of themselves anymore, not like they used to. So thank you for giving us this world back, giving it to us in a new way, and making it this fun and affordable, so that even somebody who, like you said, might work at McDonald's, they can still have a lovely set of Haverford when they need to. And that's important, because even if you do work at McDonald's, you can use the same stuff that royalty uses and smell like it. So, y'all, thank you for giving us that time back. And thank you for being one of the most absolute beloved companies in the business. And I'm sorry it took us this long to talk to you, but we wanted to make sure we were
did our
ready.
homework, yeah.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure that we really knew what we were talking about. This is a big night for us.
So thank you for taking time. I know it's so much later for you guys. But
Yeah, and thank you for putting the boys to bed and spending this. Oh, Molly's even here from Japan. All the international folks are coming
this
in.
is their morning. So they're
Italy was here early. Yeah. So, hopefully maybe we can do this again. again around Christmas time. And we want to thank you so much for spending this time with us. And on behalf of our little whiff pack, for making our show so fun and inspiring so many of our
There are
episodes.
always so many friends in the live chats on the Stirling days. They get so excited. So
I really appreciate y'all taking the time to talk with us. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I would actually like to meet you guys in person at some point. I think we have really come along.
I know we really need to come to your store because we see the pictures of everyone that goes, and we're getting jealous.
The whiff pack sends us back pictures. One of them will say, "I drove 3 hours to get to Stirling today."
They'll take a video
and they'll send us pictures. Like, wow, that's totally something we would do.
Yeah, we'll put it on the bucket list. Make a mission trip out there.
Don't throw down because we'll be on your doorstep tomorrow morning with empty coffee mugs.
We'll be ready.
All right, well, thanks, you guys. Hopefully, we'll see you around Christmas, and have a wonderful rest of your year.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody, for watching.
The whiff pack. Thank you all for being here so much.
Yes,
we have 3 new episodes that are dropping on YouTube. What is today? Sunday.
Yeah.
On Wednesday morning. So Halloween month continues. We hope to see you there. And thank you all for being here. We'll see you next time.